Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of our Win with Armagh Club Focus podcast. And we're here in Maghery Social Club, and I have three men here going to tell me a bit about the Maghery history. I've Noel Laverty, Kevin Fox, and Nell Falker. And we're going to look at all things Maghery, coming up through their ranks, the memories that the boys have of the club here, and of course, Armagh's All-Ireland winning success of last year. And the captain, of course, Kevin Falker, came from the Maghery club. So, Noel, I'll come to you first for a bit of the background history of the club. What can you tell us?
Oh God, I think I was handing this over to Kevin this one, but he had done a bit of research on this.
Well, I mean, my record would be very much based on the website, the club website, which Kevin Corr set up a number of years ago, and he has in that it's recorded, and I think his source was a book that was printed for the opening of David Park in Lurgan, and it records the first football in this area as in 1906. And at that particular time, Maghery at that time was very much based on fishing. That was the economy of the area. And there's a record of Maghery playing a game against Arbo, and the likelihood is that their means of travel at that time would have been fishing boat, because we're just right across from where the pitch was, which was in Columkill, which is my area. It's just right across to Arbo, and at that time the Lough Neagh was a whole lot higher, and the water was coming actually came into where that pitch was. The pitch was given by a man by the name of O'Donnell, Francie O'Donnell, and he had given the pitch to get the thing started. The standard at that time, I would suspect, would have been hit and miss. The actual team at that time would have been a gather-up, I think. But generally, I would imagine they were all from fishing families at that time.
Noel, what's your first memories of the club?
My first memories is going to an AGM and couldn't believe all the arguments and the debates. But there was no rows over money because there was absolutely no money in the club at all. And then progressing on to getting the first game for the senior team in a tournament in Sarsfields. And like things were poor. Like you wouldn't. I say lads wouldn't even go out now. I finished up with two jerseys. One, the shoulder was out of here, and put the other one on because it was in here and covered up. And that's the way we progressed for a long time. But I have to pay a tribute at this stage to Fairley Hummel, lifelong member of the club, treasurer of the club, everything of the club. Done the field, marked out the field, done everything. And paid for it out of his own pocket as well.
And Kevin, what's your earliest memories?
Well, mine would be I think it was a juvenile match out in the field there, and Wolves Tones was the opposition, and we weren't very good now, because I think the score would have been about 30 or 40 to nil now, and it was getting dark. And sometime in the second half, I happened to be able to kick the ball far enough, and it dropped. And I'm not going to finish that, because that was the debate. Was it over the bar or was it in the goals? And the umpire put up the green flag. I think he probably didn't realise that the ball had passed him and that there was a score. And that resulted in a major row. Was this a goal? Was this a point? And bear in mind, the score at that time was 99-0, or near enough.
I know there were a few junior championship titles.
Yeah. They won the junior championship in 58, and I think 62 as well.
Yeah.
So that got the taste for championship football too, but I suppose when you look at the club in a rural setting, it's a different club, from a city club or a town club. Like, there's nothing else around here, only football, even though we have got small numbers, but you nearly get 90-something% of what is going, the lads that are going. So in that sense, it's good. But our problem here is the population. Like, we've been starved of houses for a long time. And it's only recently, as last couple of years, that they built houses here, and some of the lads built their, obviously their own houses. But the school reflects what the football club in the rural area represents in terms of numbers. And our numbers at the minute are very poor in that sense.
The intermediate championship in 2003, you'd mentioned, them senior championship defeats in the 90s. That was 4 that the club had experienced.
Yeah.
Going to intermediate in 2003, you go on a tremendous run that takes you all the way to the finals.
Yeah.
So, please tell us a bit about your memories of that year.
Again, I think I was only coming into the senior panel at that time. And funny, Kevin talks about their, where, small rural club numbers always aren't going to be great. And clubs ebb and flow when they reach peaks and troughs and whatever. The thing we had went down to Division 2, the old Division 2. I think it was the first time. Since that. And at that time, I think you could make the decision whether to play the intermediate championship or remain senior. I think, strategically enough, I think the committee at the time made the decision to go down to intermediate, which was a bit of it was a tricky enough call. But I think the idea of that was, players around my age, a big squad of us, were coming in. Maybe the intermediate championship was the right place to sort of blood the young lads. So yeah, I went on a great run. I think the first year down we did win it, and we went through to the final. I was just telling you beforehand, we met St Michael's of Donegal, Creeslough. I've memories of trying to tackle Christy Ty and Colin McFadden as a scrawny 17-year-old, and not getting near them. So they were very strong based in the final. But I do remember, whether it was after that game, coming down here afterwards, and we sat in the changing room, and the management at the time, and even I'm sure other statesmen around the club would have said, "This is the start. Don't stop here. Keep going till we get. This is the team. Maybe that'll get a senior championship in time." Now, what was that? 2016. So it took a long time, but it was the building blocks, I suppose. And I sort of feel, we're transitioning a wee bit at the minute as well. And I think, we're kind of back to that point, and we can start to build again. But yeah, a good experience and a good place to bleed young lads. There was a few good experienced fellas and a few young lads. And really and truly, yes, plenty of lads that come after that, but it probably was the beginnings of the senior championships in 2016.
And that 2016 one, suppose yourselves and Cullyhanna just beat Cross in the semi-finals. You were both going for your first ever, so there was going to be history made one way and another. I think it was a Kieran Higgins goal, was the difference in the end.
Yeah.
It was massive. Like, I suppose, I mentioned those 4 finals. I don't know if the other lads felt it. Probably our generation. I didn't grow up with that wee bit of pressure, of trying to get over the line and the whole history in the background. And that pressure maybe did, if we're honestly made way off a wee bit, and maybe didn't get over the line against, we're pipped by Cross 2 or 3 years in a row, a point here and 2 points there. But we really had a good year to 2016 all year. We were real momentum, just things were going well. Everybody stayed fit, which was a big thing for us. And then I suppose we did get a shock with Cullyhanna beating Cross in the other semi-final. But as you say, they were well up for their first championship. I don't think it was going to go past us in 2016. I was just, look, it was a massive day. If you go back to what I said there, I think the whole community, the whole club was just waiting on it, really. Just to get it over the line. I know Kevin said there, I'm jealous of these boys with their one championship. But what I would say, and I know it's a bit cheesy maybe now, but that was for everybody. That was for the Fairy Hamills and the different people that come before. And like, sure, even those fellas that were beaten in the 1990s probably coached me all through my underage career. So they put that all back into me and a lot of the other lads to go on and eventually win it. So I always felt that 2016 wasn't just about us lads, a team that won it. It was about everything. And then we really want to do it again for ourselves nearly, and not come in 2025 come.
Noel, what do you remember about that 2016 day? Is it still one that lives long in memory?
2016 was a great day, all right. Obviously for the club and for all, as Niall says, for the for the players. First of all, they did it, and you know, it put the club on a different level, a different footing. You know, now we've got a senior championship. You know, we've broke into the big time sort of thing, and yeah, it was a marvelous time. And then to do it again against Cross of all teams, like we were told maybe a few times by different people that if you didn't beat Cross, you haven't really won a championship in Armagh. So that was a big one to get over the line. So it definitely was. It made the club into something that we hadn't experienced before. You know.
Did you ever think you'd see it, Kevin, after a couple of heartbreaks and stuff?
No, but at that time, there definitely was a good squad. There's a good squad coming through there. And I think that was the time they brought in Shane McConville, maybe as trainer too, manager.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Shane trained the squad that time maybe beyond what they had ever done before. That was my observations from the outside. So I think they had a great determination there, and they got a good run, and they were very much together as a squad. They had everything going for them in that sense. A bit nervy at the end, like, but they got there. No, it was absolutely fantastic to win it. I remember one or two dinners before that, sometime during the year, the club dinners. We'd won the league anyway at that time, and Brendan McDonald, who taught in St. Malachy's in Portadown, would have taught a lot of the lads. He had sent a message to me through some of the teachers, congratulate the boys on winning the league and so on. He says it takes a lucky team to win a championship, but a good team to win a league. And I sent back the message, thank you very much, Brendan, but let us be lucky just once.
Luck was there as well, and you know, when they didn't need that, probably the teams prior to that didn't have that bit of luck. And watching my own dad and uncles and fellas that were beaten in finals, and you just felt fallen that maybe didn't have that. Thankfully, we got it. And Jared John played one off the line just in the last minute. What Kevin mentioned, you know, messages coming from the well wishes just was unbelievable from all over. And you talk about what it means to me. I think as the final whistle went, I think it was 3 or 4 fellas that had all emigrated. They jumped and tapped me. You know, people coming from all over the world to come back because they wouldn't have missed it, you know. So that's what it meant to everybody.
Yeah, half a plane load came home from America, I think, around that time. Which was great. You know, it was a great time. But the 2020 one was a good game too. It was it's a funny game. Football is funny because I mean, Rian McConville threatened to win the thing on his own in the 2020 in the first 15, 20 minutes, and he couldn't score. But in possession wise, yeah. And then Brendan Heverin got a ball and stuck in the back of the net, and that was it. We were going. You know, the run then. And then Stefan took over. Stefan had a good game that day. He thinks I'm one of his biggest critics, but I wouldn't dare do that. But no, he had a good game and a big influence on scores and so on after that, and link play and that sort of thing, you know. But you need everything running for you. The late Alf Murray always said, if the ball doesn't run for you, not win. So, but it was fantastic. It's fantastic to do it second time. And the strange thing about it was, Sean, that I think it was Staffy was speaking to before the 2021, and he said, you know, we won the championship in 2016, and Harps beat us in 2017, and he says that had a bigger influence and a bigger impression, made a bigger impression on me than winning it the year before, because we should never have lost that, he said, and we lost it. And you could see that determination come 2020 again, that they weren't going to, you know, they weren't going to lose it. But
you were playing on Chairman that year, so it was a busy
Playing
year for you.
Chairman in 2020 and E-Bobby in the house, so very busy. Looking back now, I don't know how I got through it really, but it was that COVID year, so it was a strange year as well. So I suppose it worked in my favour in the sense that I was first time chairperson and things were kind of quiet anyway. It wasn't a big pile you could do other than actually it was about managing the COVID, probably more than anything else. And then I was, remember, you know, the crowds weren't the same. Unfortunately, on the substitute bench most of the time, so we were up in the stand. that year. So just a very strange year. And because it was a strange year, it even stands in the memory even more. I remember that cross game really vividly, just because it was a bit of a strange atmosphere with the whole COVID thing. And the presentation out on the field and everything else. The only thing I would say about that in two, then we didn't get a rattle of Ulster.
Yeah.
I was, to me, it was just about winning an Armagh Senior Championship. I don't think any of the lads would have thought about Ulster football. Again, a couple of games we had in Ulster was some of the best, most enjoyable I've had. I don't know what it was. It was just a bit of freedom with it. A
lot of pressure off.
Pressure off. You'd go over the line. And I loved those games. And unfortunately, we didn't give a good account of ourselves getting Kilcoo. And not only did we want to go and win it, just to simply win the Armagh Championship again, it was to give the lads a good rattle and maybe get a bit of credit back on the Ulster side, but we didn't get that, unfortunately, with COVID. But definitely good, man. I really enjoyed. Suppose you could enjoy the 2021 because you got that hump off your back in 2016,
Well, there was a few of us talking this time last year. We were all here, three Maghery boys in Sam Maguire here. And now it would be fussed about that day because I know Aidan's your cousin. Like seeing Aidan up lifting the Sam Maguire and having three Maghery boys on the team. What was that like?
It just funny you say that. I was having a think before we were chatting there. I was thinking back to the All-Ireland final day. And again, my abiding memories probably the wee fella with me and we're run down. But just to see Aidan's face doing the speech on the screen, and Jonathan, and he's doing the speech. That's just so surreal. Like, you've seen these boys on the screen, on the TV, Kerry and Dublin, all these stars over the years. It just fell from Maghery or whatever down the road. It's very, very surreal. And then that was topped on the Tuesday night by three Maghery lads carrying Sam over the bridge. You never thought you'd see it. Like, we were happy enough for getting Jerry Fagan over the bridge. And it was a great night here.
Yeah.
Great atmosphere, obviously great buzzing, great night's crack in as well afterwards. So it was just very surreal. And to be honest, I still don't think it's really hit home either. We didn't have anyone on the panel in 2002. So I just don't know. Obviously, we don't celebrate it and everybody was happy. But go from that to three lads in the panel, Aidan captain, was definitely surreal is probably the word to describe it all,
No, three lads in the panel, Aidan obviously the captain, and two all-stars coming back to the club as well, in Aidan and Ben.
Unbelievably. To see that, and very emotional. I would get emotional anyway. But to see Aidan lifting Sam Maguire was something you never forget. And then Ben and Aidan getting all stars. I was down at the all stars, and Ben's a nephew of mine anyway, so it was even more, precious to see him getting up for an all star. But and Kieran as well, obviously put in the same amount of work and as the rest of the lads, He was a great lad himself, But
the three lads in particular, they're obviously, you wouldn't get to where you got to if they're not dedicated and everything else. I know we had obviously very dedicated and driven from a young age. But it's no coincidence we had our sort of club successes. These boys we saw in the mix too. You mentioned Kieran's goal in the 2016 final. Ben got man of the match. Ben came on at half time in 2020, made a big change as well. So I'd like to think Ben and Kieran came in as 18-year-olds to the senior panel and seen good things, had a good environment, and not probably have them, I'd hope they'd say, to kick on. But as I say, three great lads, and we hadn't very driven, and Ben obviously as well. I think Ben's really kicked on to a different level as well the last couple of years. And then Kieran, just as nice and modest fella he'll meet, and I'm sure any manager would glad to have him about the place,
There's not many clubs in Ireland, Kevin, that have an All-Ireland winning captain, so it's a great honour for the club.
Yeah. It certainly is. And I mean, if you look at my generation of footballers, we have seen two All-Irelands, one by Armagh and two county championships, one by Maghery. And that's very special. And with regard to the three boys, and with regard to the amount of effort they put in, and I know it applies to all the Armagh players. it's absolutely crazy, and it's great to see them because there's a lot of other counties doing the same thing, getting nothing. It's great to see them getting their just rewards, getting to the top. Aidan, as Niall says, yes, very driven fella, like, and I suppose if he obviously had a sight set on that, and I mean, you could see, you're known from his speech anyway. And unfortunately, I didn't get to the match for one reason or another. But just to watch that on television, like, it was really special. And he really was, that was Aidan. You know, this is where I should have been, a bit like McGeaney in a way. Like, this is where I should have been, and now I'm here. And we're going to make the most of it. And I went to Armagh on the Monday evening, and that was a fantastic reception they got in the athletic grounds in Armagh. And down here wasn't bad either. I could understand Aidan saying like that he was more nervous coming down here than in Armagh or in Croke Park, because coming to your own club, I suppose, it's that wee bit different. But and also Niall mentioned the night after in here. I was far too old to be here that night. But I was speaking to a father of one of the lads from Clonerne. He was in the squad, and he said, I was talking to my son afterwards and asking, well, what about after the All Ireland final, and what about the reception you got in Armagh? He says, Marriage was way above. So I don't know what went on here, but obviously they enjoyed it anyway. You know, no, it's great, fantastic. We were very lucky. And we have seen 2 All Irelands and 2 club championships.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's just that last decade for us. If you go back, 2016, we're 10 years nearly. Most clubs, I'm sure, okay, there's plenty of illustrious clubs about the place, but most clubs would be envious of what we've done in 10 years. And again, doing this tonight made you look back and reflect.
Yeah.
Last decade's been crazy. I wouldn't have thought it at all.
No, certainly not.
And more good days to come.
Hopefully, yes, without a doubt. Well, they'll just have to regroup and rethink, and just interesting just to read some of the reports in the Irish News, and they talk about zonal defence and all the rest, and how if as somebody Cameron O'Kane writing today, does that mean that if Kerry played Donegal and Donegal stick with the zonal defence, that Kerry are going to win year on year because they can kick it, outscore it. So be interesting to see. And I still think if they did away with the zonal defence, it would be the best thing ever happened. But that's only my personal opinion.
We'll not choose that here.
No, we're not.
Well, hardly is right.
Well, lads, thanks very much for the chat. Noel, Kevin, and Niall. Brilliant to hear from you and hear the history of the club, particularly the last decade, as you said, Dell, such special times for the club. Obviously, the Win with Armagh campaign is still going ahead. We're about a month out from the draw for the house in Uri, so we encourage everybody to get behind the draw, get behind the county facilities at St Malachy's, and get behind what everybody's doing in the Win with Armagh campaign. So thanks everybody, and we'll be back soon, hopefully with another podcast.